It's great to be with you all today. You're beautiful. You look fantastic. I was here on October 1st for the very first day of this extraordinary occupation. And you have grown exponentially. This is extraordinary what you're doing here. You're inspiring people not only in Southern California, but all over this country. They know what you're doing in LA, and it's amazing. It's incredible. You should be proud of yourselves. New York! Make no mistake about it, my brothers and sisters, this is the beginning of a very powerful and passionate, peaceful, democratic revolution in this country in the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King, in the spirit of Nelson Mandela. You are going to be a part of history. What's happening in New York today, what's happening in Chicago, in Memphis, in Miami, in San Francisco, in San Diego, and in hundreds of cities all over small towns all over this country is something that has not happened since the 1960s. I've never seen anything like this. I demonstrated against the war. I was arrested in this wheelchair for protesting the Vietnam War. I've been arrested. That's right. I was 20 years old when I was shot in Vietnam during my second tour of duty as a United States Marine. I volunteered to go to Vietnam. I believed the government when they told me that I was fighting for the right thing. I was shot through the right foot, and the bullet went through the front of my right foot and it flew out the back of my heel. I went down. I couldn't walk, and I went down. I was leading an attack on a village with 10 other Marines in my squad. And I went down into a prone position on my stomach. I tried to return fire with my rifle. My rifle jammed. I started to get up, and I took a bullet through my right shoulder. It went through my right shoulder, collapsed my right lung, hit my spine, and severed my spinal cord, paralyzing me permanently from my chest down. I've been in this wheelchair for the last 43 years because of an American foreign policy decision. 2 Marines that day. The first Marine came up to try to save my life. He was shot in the heart and killed. The second Marine came up from behind. I don't know how he did it, and he carried me back under heavy fire. He was killed later that afternoon in an artillery attack, but I would not find out about that for another 22 years until I wrote Born on the 4th of July, and until the Tom Cruise movie Born on the 4th of July came out in 1989, 1990. It was a long and difficult journey home for me, as it was for so many young men of my generation. Like many of you here, some of you in this audience right now may have served in Iraq and Afghanistan. You know what I'm talking about. We came home to hospitals that were overcrowded, rats on the ward. We would push call buttons for aides who never came. This country could spend billions of dollars on a war in Southeast Asia. They could not even take care of the most severely wounded paraplegics and quadriplegics and amputees who came home from the Vietnam War. The same thing happened in Walter Reed Hospital. Right now they're spending $3 trillion on Iraq and Afghanistan, and they can't even take care of our young men who are coming home from this war. We've got to bring all the troops home. Yeah. We've got to bring right. Woo. I want to tell you something. I woke up this morning and I was thinking of something. You know, I keep hearing this on television. They say, what are they about? What is this movement? What is this revolution? What is this uprising that's happening? We don't understand it. What's going on with all these young people in the country right now? This looks like the 60s all over again. We don't understand it. What's going on? And I thought to myself, well, that's pretty simple to me. The words came to me this morning as I got up, and the words were, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, have decided to go to the streets of America. We've decided to go to the streets of America in order to create a more perfect, a more beautiful country, a more democratic country. Make no mistake about it, you're part of making this a better country. You're part of making this a real democracy, an authentic democracy, a democracy for all the people, not just the 1%, but for the 99%. Listen to me carefully today. Listen, because this is very important. This is a wave that will not be stopped. Yep. This is something that cannot be reversed. Yep. This is something that began in the 1960s, and it's taken off all over again right now. Yep. And this time it's going to go all the way. Yep. This time we're going to go all the way. Yep. That's right. And nothing's going to stop us this time. Yep. With all respect, and God bless them all. Not the government, not the police, nobody's going to stop us. No. Not Wall Street, nobody's going to stop us. No one, because I have to tell you something today. I have to tell you, my brothers and sisters, you are the most powerful element in this country. We, the people of the United States, we're more important than any Congress. We're more important than any president that can't function, any Congress that can't represent us, any Wall Street that doesn't give a damn about us. Yep. The people are the power in this country. Yep. We, the people of the United States, will create a beautiful country. If they can't do it, well, damn it, we'll do it here, right in the streets of America. And we will not do it with anger. We'll not do it with hatred. We don't need that. We've seen enough of that in this country. We've seen enough of that. We'll do it with love. We'll do it with compassion. We'll do it with faith, a growing faith in our strength, that we the people are going to be the final decision makers in this country. You got problems in this country. People are out of work in this country. People are losing their homes, good and decent people, like your mothers and your fathers and your sisters and your brothers. They're being thrown out of their homes. Well, we'll go to their homes. We'll surround their homes. We won't let the banks take their homes from them. This is only the beginning. And this is something very beautiful. What is very important, and I want to make this very clear to all of you, and if I learned anything, I have been an activist for 43 years. I have been to Kent State. I have been to the Republican Convention in Miami. I shouted down Richard Nixon during his acceptance speech in 1972. I was thrown out of the convention hall. I was thrown out of this wheelchair several different times. I sat behind bars in the LA County Jail for my activism several different times. I was arrested, as I said, in this wheelchair 12 different times. But I have no bitterness. I have no anger. I have nothing but enthusiasm and hope and great expectancy that you are going to make a difference. You're the ones. Get a sense of your power today. Begin to recognize that this is not going to change. This sorrow is not going to leave us. These wars are going to continue on and on and on. You are the ones who can stop it. Yes. Not the government, not even the president, with all respect, not the Congress, not the senator, and all the politicians, and certainly, brothers and sisters, not Wall Street. You are the ones who can make the changes that we really need to make. Everybody's thinking, they're talking about this political election coming up. We're watching it on television. We watch it on Fox. We watch it on CNN. We watch it on all the stations. The pundits, the TV characters talking about this person and this politician, this debate's coming up. But we know what's really going on. It's going to be the same old, same old. We're going to be the same old thing. The only way we're going to stop these wars, the only way we're going to keep, have you seen, do any of you read the Huffington Post? Yeah. Have you seen these recent articles? They call it the Wounded Warriors. These wounded young men and women coming back from the war. 18 of our young Iraqi and Afghan veterans, 18 of them a day are committing suicide. Did you know that? Yes. 18 a day. More Vietnam veterans have committed suicide in the last 40 some odd years since the war ended than were killed in the war. Nearly 60,000 were killed in the war, 58,000 plus Vietnam veterans were killed in the war. We've got to stop this. Yes. We've got to stop this. We're a better country than this. Yes. Alan Lowenstein, a friend of mine, late congressman from New York, once said, it is better to reclaim the country than abandon it. Well, we are in the process of reclaiming our country.
Yeah.
Believe me, this is not just another gathering. You're part of a very important time in history. Let me conclude today by saying you are important. This is a very important time in history. It's a turning point, like no turning point ever. You will be able to tell your children and your children's children that you were involved. You came down. You became a participant. I want to also say that this is a moment that you can all take responsibility for your own lives and for your country. Woody Guthrie wrote a song a long time ago, and he wrote it for all the people. And he wrote it during a time that's very similar to the time that we're living in right now. It was a time of sorrow and suffering. It was a time of homelessness. It was a time when people had lost faith in their country. And he wrote this song. It's a people song. And I'd like you I'll say it first, and then we'll all say it together, and then we can sing it together. Let me say the words first, and then we'll say it afterwards. The words are simply, and I know you've heard this, this land is my land, this land is your land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. Now let's do it the way they do it in New York and on the Brooklyn Bridge. That's right. With 700 brave citizens who were arrested on the Brooklyn Bridge about a week ago, where they stood up in that park in New York just the other night, was it last night, and they refused to move, and union workers came down, and the unions are joining us, by the way, out here. They're going to be coming to this park. They're going to be setting up this tent. This is going to double. This is going to triple. They're going to have to give us new land, more ground out there. And isn't it amazing? Isn't it wonderful? The city council has endorsed this.
Yeah.
But you know, I'll tell you something. We endorsed it before anybody endorsed it. Because this land belongs to us, and we know it now. We're taking it back. And we know that we are the ones. We are the ones who can change this country. So let's just repeat the words after me, then we'll sing it. This land is your land.
This land is your land.
Let them hear it in New York. This land is my land.
This land is my land.
That's right. From California to the New York Island.
To the New York Island.
From the Gulf Stream waters
From the Gulf Stream waters
to the Redwood Forest.
to the Redwood Forest.
This land was made for you and me. This land is our land. This land is your land.
This land is your land.
From California to the New York Island. Let's sing it. The Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. One more time. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California mountain to the New York Island. From the Gulf Stream waters to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. God bless you and thank you very much.
Vote on the 4th of July. I'm Kovic, vote on the 4th of July.
This is just the beginning. Thank you.